Hi, Palak. Good evening. Thank you for being here,
Good evening. How are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for being here and giving us the opportunity to share this platform with you. So, this is the seventh edition of Why Fashion Matters. And it is incredible how we've been there for last 6 months together to put together an array of these beautiful narratives which talk about the state of fashion, not only in the immediate context, but also what ways it's being paved for future times to come. And especially in the time of what is happening around. Right from the time we had the last session on April 15th till today, a lot has changed. The world really has changed for, especially here in India. And I really hope that we are all holding on to hope. And this is something which we all need to stick together with, do together to achieve and be on the other side of this long tunnel. And before I start, I just want to take a note of what Francis Corner in his book named Why Fashion Matters talks about fashion. And it's so eloquently said that makes completely a sense of setting in the tone for today's meeting and session with Palak. At the heart of every successful fashion economy lies a concentrated group of enthusiasts who are both performers and audiences to one another. If fashion needs an ecosystem, that ecosystem requires a city in order to thrive. Only there will fashion find its audience and the resources to sustain it, not least the creativity and ambition of individuals drawn into this urban orbit. Creating a fashion ecosystem takes time, energy, and human desire, but it still can be done. So today we have amidst us one such amazing enthusiast, Miss Palak Shah. Palak has
Thank you
been,
for having me.
it is a pleasure, Palak. Palak has been a table turner, an influencer to her contemporaries, a single workforce to redefine what heritage, luxury means, and how a mindful generation of us takes on to redefine the importance of creating heirlooms, livelihoods, and a responsible fashion system in diasporic India. Palak single handedly spearheads the first handloom luxury brand of the country, Ekaya. At 120-year-old legacy, replete in traditional Banarasi textiles, Ekaya is credited for supporting more than 10,000 families of craftsmen and artisans and has established a vision to change the way Indian handloom is perceived, sold, and perceived, presented globally. Under Palak's affluent leadership, the brand has crossed barriers of a stereotyped family owned business and has credited Indian textile with its true purpose and stature. Palak, before we move on, we would like to share the brand video and share the ethos with us. So we will leave in the link for all those of you for whose net is very slow and are not able to stream it live. So Shavik here, my colleague, would be sharing the video online right now. So the link is here in the chat. For those of you unable to play live, can view it quickly and come back here in the space. Maybe Palak, we can just come back and play the video. And I'll start. Sorry, maybe there's some technical glitch at the moment. Before we get forward, Palak, what does it feel for you to have a legacy of 120 years old in your hand and shaping it in the manner which you have envisioned it to be?
I always say I'm very, very grateful, very fortunate to, even my forefathers for having maintained it for the firstly. And secondly, I feel it's a big mammoth task. Can you not hear me? Okay, sir. Can you speak a little louder? Can you guys hear me?
Okay, I'll be louder. Please continue.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you could continue, Palak. We've sort of
Okay, so I'm just saying, I'm like, it's a mammoth task, first of all, to be sort of running a 4 generational business. I feel like I say in a lot of times, I'm like, I think it's a more difficult task to maintain things than to start it. You can always start it and you can always sort of take it whichever way you want to, but once you're sort of like taking something on which is 4 generations old, which has been carried on, which has been profitable, and which is also sort of always done better than the previous year, to sort of live up to that expectation and to really create that sort of an enterprise is very, very difficult. So I'm nothing but grateful for my forefathers for having, first of all, created something like this, and second of all, for me, for my family to have given me the platform to recreate it and to create and to give it a new identity.
It makes so much sense, Palak. When I met you last time, you had mentioned that initially being a woman was a slightly more restrictive for you to sort of go and chase your dreams because of the legacy that the brand is perceived with. So, how did you combat that? And how was that barrier broken off for others?
You know, there was not so much of a barrier that I was a woman, actually, because it's actually very surprising because this industry that I am in and which actually serves women has
Right.
only men dominating it.
Very
So I
sad.
was pretty much I was pretty much the first, the second woman to sort of even enter this industry. But very fortunate for the kind of family name that my family has created, or sort of the kind of respect that we have. I didn't face as much difficulty. But I most definitely faced difficulty when I, being a young person, more so than I faced being a woman. I was all of 21 when I started. So, it's obvious for everyone to say, Bachi hai, nahi kar payegi, ask your dad how to do it. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what industry you're getting into, etc. So I had to work 10 times harder. I per se have not up until now faced being a woman as a big challenge as much as many others face it. And I'm again very grateful to that. I think especially because my family has been on my back, on at my back, and my family's always supported me. But I'm sure a lot of people do, and there have been instances, or perhaps I just don't recognize those instances because of just the kind of person that I am. I've always been an independent, fierce person, and I've always been very self-reliant and very. I don't look at too much of a gender inequality because it doesn't exist in my household. So maybe I haven't been able to spot it, but I'm sure definitely being a young person has been one of the biggest roadblocks for me in my career.
But I think there is so much of learning in there, Palak. It's everything starts from the family, and if the family sort of fuels your dreams, it just makes it easy. And I remember how difficult for me it was. It was very opposite actually, being in the fashion space and convincing a typical India Agrawal family to let me go to Milan to pursue my dreams in fashion. It was never heard of 15 years ago. And so it was a very different side of the story, but that is the reality that we all sort of live with. And it is incredible when you are supported with your family. It shows you how to dream, and it just helps you chase your dreams in an easier manner.
Vatsal, it's actually really funny because my family didn't support me for my dreams either.
Okay.
Because I went to I belong to Banaras. I've been born here. I was born into a proper typical Gujarati family. I was the first kid to go to a boarding school when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
I remember then I shifted schools and I went to Welham Girls School, and then most of my friends then were going abroad to study, and my family refused to let me go study. And they were just like, no, you must go to SRCC and you must go to Stephens. Why do you want to go internationally? And the main concern was not because I had to go international. The main concern was, how is a child going to stay in a foreign country? How is she going to stay with boys? How is she going to manage life, etc.? So the funny thing was that I'd written my dad a 12-page letter fighting them, saying that, why have you given me wings? Why have you put me in a boarding school and you don't want me to fly? Da, 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 da. And surprisingly enough, I always thought I'll get married after college. But, just one thing led to another. And my family, I feel like the beauty of my family is that it's really adapted itself to the way I've become. So they've grown with me. From my father, my grandfather, everyone's grown with me. Everyone's adapted themselves with me, which is, I feel like, the beauty of my family. So like even now, I'm doing a man's job, as in I'm staying in Delhi, I am running 5 stores, I'm handling a team of almost 70, 80 people under me immediately. And there is zero interference from my family, absolutely. With finance, with decisions, with anything for that matter. So I feel like if you belong to a family which may be conservative in the beginning, but if they're ready to learn, I feel it's a whole game changer.
I totally agree there. And I think that is what sets precedence. And that's a very big learning in there. Another thing uh, which we sort of spoke about last time was to see a brand as an heirloom brand or a heritage brand and to connote luxury to it. How did that happen for Ekaya?
Since as in like I said, I was in London, and I've been even though I've lived all over the world. I mean, I've lived in Boston, I've been in London, I have traveled all over. I'm a very India proud person, and I'm very protective of who I am and very confident of who I am. I'm not one to sort of feel inferior in front of other people. So when I was there, I always sort of wondered. I said, why aren't we using our heritage to create luxury brands? Why aren't sort of we using, because at the end of the day, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Hermes, all the other people are using the craftsmanship and artisanship of their country to create global brands. I said, why isn't India doing so? And I often found that Indians all over the world somehow think that they're inferior than other people. Even when we are standing, the way we're talking, the way we sort of present ourselves, we're always undervaluing ourselves. So I feel like luckily I was at the right place at the right time. I was given a textile brand, and I said, why not sell this textile brand as a luxury item? Because hours of, as in, because while growing up, I'd heard my dad tell me, इसमें बहुत time लगा है, इसमें इतना घंटा लगा है, इसमें ये लगा है. And I'm like, why can't we communicate all these things to the person so that they also know how much effort and time has gone into this?
Absolutely.
Nobody was doing it. Everyone was simply selling sarees. It was a known fact कि hand woven है. But like, do you really know what hand woven is? It's almost become like numb to our brain right now कि hand woven है, sustainable है, customers will simply walk out. But like, why not tell them the amount of craftsmanship has gone to wearing a simple shirt that you're wearing? Let's tell them the story behind it.
Right.
So that was my whole vision behind sort of like really creating a luxury brand.
So it's been almost a decade since.
Yes.
So how have you seen that transition happen?
I feel like it's been very seamless. I feel like in fact, yesterday I was talking, and it's a different example, but I was talking to someone about one of my cousins growing up, and I'm like, once you see them every day, you don't see a difference because you're used to sort of seeing it. So I don't see any difference in Ekaya. Like, I just feel like, oh, Abhi had started, and I'm sure there has been a transition, in terms of our brand valuation, in terms of the kind of stuff that we're doing, in terms of the kind of product that we are creating, in terms of the kind of imagery, communication, everything. Right. But for me, it's been a very seamless transition because it's almost like seeing a baby grow, and you feel like they've never really grown old ever.
Right.
But I'm sure to somebody else who's actually observing me from afar, Ekaya has come a long way.
And that's great because with every step that one takes, of course, there's a lesson to be learned. But when you see the journey back, it's so seamless and organic, like you said, that it's an experience of its own.
Vatsal, I feel like journeys are always seamless and organic only when you're grateful for everything. Absolutely. If you keep on focusing on the bad things, if you keep on focusing on the roadblocks, and if you keep on crying about the roadblocks, it will never be seamless and happy. You'll always look back and be like, oh my God, usme mujhe itni problem hui thi. Oh my God, this one didn't support me. This one didn't support me. No, but like, look how far you've come. Look at how many milestones you've created. And, I'd say, and I feel it's been a beautiful journey so far.
That's very rightly put. I think that's what our students as well would need to. I know things look very shaky right now in the market or everywhere, but I think this sense of just having this ownership and gratitude will just take them forward.
I feel like, and also there is light at the end of the tunnel, always. The tunnel is long at this point in time. You've been in it for a very long time, but there is light.
Yes.
We have to get through this. There is no other way.
True. One more thing which is very remarkable about you and Ekaya is that you believe in collaborations, Palak. How have they helped you? Of course, there are brands like Abraham and Thakur and Masaba Gupta, and also, of course, your work with Paris Haute Couture Week. But what have these collaborations apart from adding a name, done to why Ekaya stands what it is today?
For me, Ekaya stands actually for textile engineering. It's actually Ekaya is all about creating never seen before textiles.
Right.
Ekaya is not a fashion brand. Ekaya is a textile brand. We believe in sort of really creating state-of-the-art textiles, teaching the weavers something new every single day. So yes, while we empower the weavers by giving them more work, but we're also mentally and intellectually empowering them. And I feel, and that's a big thing because for you to stay in a particular industry, you must be motivated every single day. So if you're not motivated to be in the education space, you will never be in that space ever. So I feel like one of the biggest reasons why we collaborate is to intellectually stimulate my weavers. Because when we collaborate with people who have never worked with textile industries, they come up with questions or queries which is not present in the textile industry.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, when you're working with Masaba asked us different questions about how can we get her prints to weaving. Now, to create that kind of prints to weaving was a challenge for us because never ever have prints been created into weaving.
Right.
Let's say, for example, Archana Rao, when we did, Archana Rao was asking me, have you heard of, I'm sure you guys know what cut work is and kadava is and the basics of weaving. Archana Rao asked us, can we do reverse cut work? Okay. Now, the minute you are taught to do something, you are asked to do something new, there are new brain cells that are created, new brain connections that are created. AKA, you're stimulated and you're motivated and you're excited to do it. So with every collaboration comes new excitement for us, something new that we're creating. So that's why we collaborate. Even when we worked with Paris Haute Couture Week, with the Federation of Made to Measure France, we literally saw fabrics in a whole new way. And then my weavers saw it in a whole new way. And my weavers' kids saw in a whole newer way, which made them believe that they can join the weaver community as well. That weaving is not, after all, a stupid job. It is a very reputable job, almost akin to an engineer. Right. So once you basically start showing the people in the next generations where all we can go and what all limitless possibilities are there, more and more entrants enter the market. So the more I teach them, the more sort of their kids are sort of motivated to join their business, and the more weavers we're actually creating.
So if you could tell us one of these incidences when you made one of these weavers believe in what they're doing, because you've seen them working tirelessly, toil on a single piece of work, but they sometimes don't see what value that piece that they're creating would bring in a market that goes out. So
Vatsal, everything is transparent, right? These days,
True.
Right? Everything is transparent. Ekaya prices are online. People are seeing the success of Ekaya and many other brands that are there. Weavers have all access to smartphones, and the kids are out there studying at NIFT and everywhere else. So they're really seeing the potential of where this business is going. So I don't think I need to tell them, but especially because also my dad is in Banaras, my whole family is in Banaras, and I'm sitting in Delhi. So when my dad is actually creating those designs, and when the weavers know that despite a lull in the business, despite whatever, these people are at it, like despite, this lockdown or despite this thing, we're constantly in touch with the weavers of ideating and coming up with something new because we have hope that the season will pick up sometime or the other. So they also know that the possibilities are limitless. They also know that they're creating something new. Sorry.
No problem, please.
I'm very sorry, guys, at home.
Don't worry at all.
We all have people who come and scream. But anyway, what was I talking about? I forgot. So I'm sure the weavers see the whole sort of where they're going and how much sort of where their products are going, and it's all very transparent. So like we have lots of weavers who come and they actually now are excited. Earlier a lot of weavers will be like, "Humse nahi ban paega," because they'll be like, "We don't want to create." Now weavers will come to my dad and be like, "Teach us something new. Tell us what to do. Give us sort of interesting work." So it's almost like an excited student in your school who's waiting to solve different math problems, difficult ones.
Right. When you see every Ekaya product, what sort of joy, every product might give you a different joy. So how do they talk to you? How does that feeling sort of spurt out when you see every piece that's been created?
For Ekaya?
Yes.
So I am a sari hoarder.
Okay.
So my mom and everyone is sick of me because they literally something they'll come out and I'll be like, oh my God, I want it. So,
Right.
I'm like in a candy shop and, I love absolutely everything Ekaya does.
Right.
And it's not just because Ekaya is mine. Let's say, for example, even if Ekaya were not mine, I think I'd pick up every textile. Also because I think I'm aware of the kind of effort that has gone into creating those products. And I know from sketch to reality how close we've come and how interesting and groundbreaking these designs are. I can give it a guarantee that no other designer or no other person is able to create such groundbreaking designs in textiles.
Sure.
Creating doodles on textiles or faces or something. I feel like it's an interesting thing.
Right. So when you talk about creating heirlooms, I think especially generations of today merely don't understand what heirloom sort of translates into. And your conscious effort to bring back the importance of heirloom and pass it on has been incredible. So if you could share something about the importance of why heirlooms are created and how they have moved beyond just a mother gifting something to her daughter when she sort of goes to another house. How has that definition changed? How does it look in a scenario such as today?
I feel as I'm talking to you, I feel like communications create heirlooms.
Beautiful. I think, yeah, absolutely.
The way you sort of communicate about your product, the way you sort of talk about fashion, the way you talk about consumerism is what creates heirloom. If I'm constantly pushing out to my clients, buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more, consume more, it will not be heirloom because you're sort of consuming and you're moving it on like thing. Almost like Zara. A Zara piece is never an heirloom. You don't even think about it. All you want to do is buy more, buy more, buy more. And I'm a victim to that as well. But let's say, for example, an Hermes bag or like a Gucci bag or like a fur jacket, even though there is no word of an heirloom ever there, you do know that you're saving up money and you're collecting money to buy that one piece. And once you have put all your might, as they have in creating that product, and you've put your mind in collecting that money for the thing, you want to keep it forever.
Yes.
And you want to pass it on to different people.
True.
So, in the truest of sense, a 2,000 rupee dupatta is not an heirloom because neither has enough effort gone from the weaver's side to create it, nor has enough effort gone from your side to even collect it.
That's very
So
right.
communications define heirloom according to me.
Right. That's been a very new interpretation for me, and I think it's great to know that side of perspective as well. Thank you. In one of your interviews, Palak, you had said that even for transient trends to evolve in style, there has to be an element of unshaken authenticity at its essence. If you could tell us more about the importance of authenticity, because I think people sort of don't understand what it really means, especially in today's.
Anything can be authentic that is genuinely created from the heart, and genuinely sort of like there is transparency.
Right.
So I think textiles are authentic, like, but again, if I'm trying to fool the clients, I feel like even the clients have to be well educated in order to know what is authentic or not, right? So many times I'll see so many fake products and think they'll be like 100% authentic, 100% silk, but like as a consumer I also need to do my research before buying into that. And if in case I'm not doing my research and I'm coming and screaming at the clients, screaming at the customer, saying like, you gave me something wrong, and I'm going to be the as in the brand's going to be like, hello, you should have done your research too. So I feel authenticness is something that sort of is, I feel like I think it's two-way road. Again, like I said. So, what kind of products you're using, the communication that you're going, how transparent you are, not just at work, but also sort of not just in your communication, but also in your dealings.
Right.
And that's where I feel like authenticity like really seeps in from the top.
Thank you. If you could talk to us about a typical day in Banaras for you, in terms of how your day goes through talking to these weavers, their families, something which sort of shares about your day-to-day dealings with them, or just a basic human interaction.
Quite honestly, a basic day in Banaras for me is spent with family. Okay. I fortunately and unfortunately have look at the more operations, management, marketing, communication side of things, and my dad looks at the whole production side of things. But whenever I do come to Banaras, which is almost once a month or twice a month, there's a huge chunk of time that I spend with my designers and our top weavers.
Right.
And mostly I spend time with my designers, communicating to them what has worked, what hasn't worked. They show me their designs, we work with it. And then my dad communicates with the weavers. But if I do interact with some of the weavers, we're always sort of trying to get to know each other, get the pulse of things, how you're doing, how you're not doing. It's I feel like my interaction with them is a lot more than work, a lot beyond work, rather. It's not just about it. They'll be very excited to show me what saree they've created. We'll look at it, we'll drape, we'll sort of like try and know what technique they've used, how they're doing, how the kids are doing. Because my forte is not textile creation. Mine is story creation, mine is communication, handling of the stores, etc. So that's what a typical day in Banaras for me is.
But that is so important, Palak. These stories create so many opportunities, like you said. And that is why it is so important to sort of imbibe these onto day-to-day learning, because each communication, each story has a heart of its own, like you said. And that's what adds to a rich repository of what Ekaya is creating. So when you talk about Ekaya Than, it is a beautiful concept, giving back to what you're trying to create. If you could talk to us about it, and how do you see it becoming this global essence of Ekaya in times to come?
Ekaya Than is my baby, like
Okay.
everyone knows. Ekaya Than was actually created at my MBA, during my MBA.
Okay.
And I'd actually sort of come up with an idea, and my professor, and I'd presented it to my professor with everything that I'd done. And my professor that said that this is going to be a loss-making business. Please do not ever attempt to do it again.
That was a bit harsh.
That's okay. That's how professors are. And so then I said, you know what, screw you. I'm going to come back and do it because, I really wanted, because I really believe in that idea. So when I came back, and to really see your idea in form is a whole different situation. The idea that actually Kaya Than started with was to create a connect between international designers wanting to work with India and the weavers of Banaras. Because many times when these designers directly contact the weavers, there's lack of quality, lack of conversations, trust, communication. There is so much, and they run away from here. So the whole idea was to create that, but that eventually turned into whole something completely new. Ekaya Than is now a one-stop shop for fabrics. It's a one-stop shop for anything to do with textiles. It's like a world of textiles. So it not just is for the designers or for clothing. It's now also for home. It's for fashion. It's for sort of anything and everything that you can imagine. So like, come to Ekaya Than and have fun with textiles. Create anything absolutely that you want to. We're also doing repurposing there, we're doing upcycling there. So like literally, like, it's become everything at this point of time.
Right. Yeah, so that was my favorite part of the store when I came to meet you. And if things would have been different, we would have been sitting there and having this conversation. But maybe
Unfortunately.
some other time and some other sense of it. So, Palak, before my colleagues sort of ask their own questions, because they're quite excited for this, why does fashion actually matter to you? We talk a lot about fashion, but what does it mean to you, and why does it matter?
I think fashion is a way of describing oneself.
True.
Fashion is not imitating you and I. It's not imitating Vatsal's sense of style or Palak's sense of style. It's really feeling comfortable in you. And I feel like it's an art form of expressing. Like dance is a form of expressing yourself. Many people use fashion to express yourself. It's really wearing someone's art on your body. So people buy Raza, people buy Picasso, and all these paintings, you put it on a wall. But here you're taking someone's art and you're reinterpreting it in your own art and creating a whole different masterpiece.
Right.
So it's combining your art with somebody else's art. And I think it's so beautiful. And I feel that's why fashion matters to me, because there is limitless permutation combinations of creating new art,
Right.
mixing so many arts together and creating it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. So moving on, Palak, I have three of my colleagues who've really contributed to how the Design Village education has sort of come to how it is today. First, I have Mudita. She's the Associate Dean for Academics. She herself has been very fond of collecting sarees and textiles. So I think she connects with you there. So Mudita, over to you.
Hi Palak, how are you?
Good, how are you, Mutta?
I'm good, thank you. So Palak, I know we've been talking a lot about heritage and heirloom. So I just wanted to ask you a very simple question. If you were to pick one heritage artifact for yourself, what would it be?
Artifact being saree, or it can be anything?
Anything.
Saree. I'm obsessed with sarees. Everyone knows it.
Any particular saree that you would pick out of that hoarding that you're talking about?
No, I just love every saree. Like literally, my mom, as in like I said earlier, my mom and my sister are sick of me because I refuse to sort of wear anything else apart from a saree at functions. And my mom literally jokes about it and says, literally in her words, she like har jagah saree pehen ke pahunch jati hai. And I'm just like, I love it. I said, I just simply love it. So I feel like if I had to pick up any artifact, I'll pick a saree.
Oh wow. Okay, well, I'm in the same boat. Like I totally connect with you there, is what Sue is saying. But thank you so much, Palak.
Thank you, Mudita. Palak, next I have Sneha, who actually is a textile designer herself and uses these crazy material to weave immensely crazy stories. She is a baskets mentor, a baskets manager here, and heads the fashion and textile department at the Design Village. So Sneha, over to you.
Sneha, I love your hair, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi. Okay.
Hi.
Nervous, but yeah, I'm going to be cool about this. Palak, I was actually very curious about the revival project. So I'm super fond of saris, but I'm not fond of buying saris. I'm fond of picking up my grandmother's and my mother's saris and, just kind of taking it from the cupboard. And when I read about the revival project, it just felt very close to the heart somehow. It just felt like, it's usually you go to brands, they're more like, this is very old, we'll tell you what you should do, and you should buy this and you should buy that. And I'm just wondering what went on, behind, what is the story behind that whole revival project in general? Yeah.
I'll tell you, to be honest, revival project came as a need where me and my dad were talking, and I was like to dad, and I'm like, Papa used to tell me stories. He used to be like, पुराने ज़माने में ये बनता था, ये weaving होती थी, and no longer weavers are there. And I'm like, how come weavers are not there? Because Papa's just like, there's no one, that kind of product is not made any longer, so the skills have died. And back in '92, my dad had started this range of saris called Valkalam. And very interesting ones. I'm sure your parents or someone will know, to the extent that we on the pallu, I wish I could show you some pictures. I don't have it right now. On the pallu, the whole whole ghats of Banaras were woven, scriptures woven, very interesting things. And as to be like, I'm like, and I'm like, Papa, we can't do it again. And he said, there's no demand for it, and I'm not going to sell it, and there are no weavers. So that's when the whole revival project came, and I'm like, why not actually revive the weaving techniques? Why not get and reteach the weavers whatever was existing then? So even with a revival project, we're very picky with what we're reviving. We're not reviving your basic sarees that are there. We hand-pick sarees. And one of the most interesting sarees, earlier we got a lot of easy sarees, beautiful designs which are made, but made using kadava, etc., weaving. But in the middle, we got this very beautiful saree where like patola, the warp was colored in different places. It took almost a month for us to just rack our brains and be like, how is it created? And my dad said, what have you got me? And I'm like, have fun. And then him and the weavers had so much fun. And that was my whole goal, because like I'm collaborating with designers, now I'm collaborating with real people like you and I, who are now collaborating with the weavers and actually stimulating them again, and now stimulating them along with your great grandmother's sarees. So yes, it's like a shot with, kya bolte hain, do tir se ek nishana thing, where you're also sort of, I'm giving you back your emotional value. I'm sort of like making you happy because you're able to rewear your grandmother's sarees. I'll fix it for you. But I'm also exciting my weavers, because while I love you and your grandmother and that connection, my connection is more with the weavers, and I need to make them happy as well. So that was the reason why actually Revival Project actually started. So it's not a money-making project. We get maybe 5 sarees a year or 6 sarees a year where we pick up. But those are mind-boggling sarees, and we're just like, wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sneha. Palak, that was a very beautiful translation, I think, and the question makes so much more sense. In fact, Sneha told me about the revival project that Ekaya does. I sort of did not translate it initially, and she took me through it, and I was like, my goodness, this is incredible. And yeah, that's very nice. Thank you. I'm very
Thank you.
important there. Next, Palak, I have with me Latika. She actually heads the operations and admissions, and she is the associate dean here. She has actually completely reimagined how admissions at TDV look like, because people find admission is a very tedious task, but the way she interacts with new aspirants and students and tells them tales of how design can be without being a designer is incredible. So she really thought she will be here and ask this funny of her questions, which she always sort of finds it daunting. So Latika, over to you.
Thank you, Vatsal. Hi, Palak. First of
Hi,
all,
Latika,
it's an
how are you?
amazing conversation, and I'm like really enjoying it. So what I wanted to check with you was that in today's context, the students feel that designing is about fancy gowns or dresses, and associated so much with Bollywood. When you talk to students, the first thing is Manish Malhotra, Sabyasachi, and that's what we deduct marks for that, by the way. But you've worked on so many international collaborations and designed also for so many Bollywood divas. How has your experience been dressing them up in saris, and who has been your favorite, your muse in terms of what the students really look up to, the Bollywood diva, so to say?
For the longest time, I actually did not dress up celebrities.
Okay.
Because I wanted the brand to grow on its own for the textile. Because, like I always say, the textile is the hero, and it really makes the person the heroine, for the lack of a better word. It makes you feel like a diva because the garment is so beautiful, right? So for the longest time, I was actually not dressing up celebrities, because I was like, and I'm still very picky with doing that. If you see, Kaya's not worn by a lot of people. I feel like only people who resonate with it, I sort of give them. As cliched as it sounds, Sonam is one of my sort of most loved celebrity, because I feel like she carries everything off very beautifully. And
Sure.
like I said earlier, she mixes her art with the art of the product. And I feel that's very beautiful, because I feel like you can wear something beautiful, but you have to sort of really give it a new life altogether. And she does it. But having said that, I feel like the art is always the textile. Even when I wear something, I mean, I'm not the hero. My textile is the hero. And I feel like even for your students, it's very important to be original. It's very important to really believe in what you do, because the minute I start creating and imitating, I mean, even for that matter, Latika, if I'm trying to be you, I'm going to be a shit version of you, because real version of you is you. And only you can carry yourself off very beautifully the way you do. And similarly to, if you're trying to become a Sabyasachi or a Manish Malhotra, you're going to be a shittier version of them.
That's
Because
so true.
only
And I'm so glad, Palak, that you brought that up, because it's very important for the students also to realize that what individual identity is, and how even at such a young age, when you could resonate with Banarasi saris and other things, how fashion can be so typical for different people, and you should bring
I
about
feel
your
like,
definition.
I feel like there is no shame in doing anything in today's thing. For the longest time, I'd hear people saying, oh, we're not in the sari business, we're in the textile business. And I'm going to be like, even if you say sari, what's the deal of it? Like, yes, I entered a typical sari business. I actually entered a very typical wholesale business. Now, what I made of it is my problem. What I made of it is my credibility.
Correct.
Whether I made it into a textile haven, I made it into a textile business, I made it into an international textile business, my doing. So I feel like there's no harm in hesitating to enter something, because when you really spin it around, the whole credit goes to you then. Right? Second thing is that always be very true to who you are. Like, I mean, as my sister just started her own brand, and I always tell her all the time, I'm like, don't try to fill a gap at Ekaya. Create what you resonate with, because once you create what you resonate with, you'll create magic. unless trying to make me happy and trying to make dad happy and creating sarees and textiles that you don't resonate with. During one of my collaborations with Anupama Dayal, she taught me something so beautiful. When it's been about almost 6-7 years and I still remember it. And I feel like your students I hope they resonate with it. She said, they can be better than you, they can be worse than you, but they can never be you. So I can be a better Latika, I can be a worse Latika if I copy you, but I can never be Latika. So find your own voice, and do something that resonates with you. Even if you have to create basic t-shirts, create the best damn t-shirt. Instead of creating a sari and trying to be like Ekaya or like Sabyasachi or like Manish Malhotra.
That's so beautiful, Palak. Thank you so much. And I'm sure, your line of this is going to be my next favorite that I'm going to be using on public. And I'll tell that when Palak mentioned it in the conversation. Thank you so much.
Please, by all means. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Vatsal, over to you.
Thank you, Latika. Thank you for that honest reply, Palak. I think it's very important that we do realize why fashion thrives in today's time. So there are these 3 students who've sent in questions for you. So for the quick optimization of the time, I'll just sort of quickly read through them. So Mitali from Palwal asks, what are the necessary steps that one should take to sustain a fashion business or to make it grow?
Stick to who you are.
True.
Patience, and be very true to what you're creating. Why I say patience is, in the middle when I was creating my business and when I was growing, I felt like going at 120 kilometers an hour. And then I had to realize that in order to go to 120 kilometers an hour, I had to take a lot of measures, I had to take a lot of decisions, which would not be true to what I believed in.
Right.
I could start creating polyester, I could start creating cheap products, I could start housing a lot of things if I wanted those numbers. So patience was very necessary for me. Sticking to truly what I believed in was very necessary for me. And like sticking to my vision, but like, of course, tweaking it a little here and there. And, from having a very clear idea of what you want to do and then just being true to it and just going on, because it's a long process. It's taken me 10 years. I don't realize it's been 10 years. I don't realize because I've thoroughly enjoyed the journey, but it has been 10 years for me.
And then 10 really fruitful years to see how it has transitioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Akshita, who is a student of first year at the Design Village, asks you how to make fashion sustainable by making it something which is just not to wear, but actually to use.
By getting utility into it, so basically how to get utility out of it. I mean, again, like guys, communication. Right. Show the consumers how you can wear it in different things. Like, I feel like it's very important that if I made a sari and if I'm talking about, in a joke, I say I can box in a sari, perhaps one day I will show you how to box in a sari, because consumers need to see it to believe it. You can't write, wear this for dinner, wear this for this, wear this to a games event. No, show them how to do it and then they'll do it.
Right.
So, like show.
So just one last one in there. So Konya from New Delhi asks, what were the key steps of building, articulating and sharing the brand story? And what marketing initiatives did you sort of take in a brief sort of span of time?
Can you please repeat it?
Sure. So she wants to know, how did you remain true to the brand story? And how did these marketing initiatives sort of influence it or sort of couple it to grow with the way you wanted it to?
I feel how I stayed true to what I believed in was through a lot of sacrifice.
Right.
I did get a lot of opportunities. You will always, even when you're growing, you're going to get a lot of opportunities where you will sort of be tempted to take it, tempted to move your path. But like, you have to really stick to your path in order to like really make it to where you want. Your end goal has to be very specific. You will get all sorts of opportunities which will make you sway from one way to the other, because the world's full of opportunities. So you have to stick to it and continue with it, and which requires a lot of sacrifice, a lot of saying no, a lot of not being at the right time, a lot of not being at the right place, or for an event that you really thought where your brand would grow. But I feel like in the long run, it really helps. What marketing tactics I used, again, which are very true to me, which sort of resonated with me and which made me me. I feel like what sort of added to Ekaya's long-term future. So like, I literally have it written somewhere which says pure, timeless, treasured. And, literally in my office, if you ever come, my girls will also know. Even in fact, the person who serves tea in my office also knows what we are. I always ask him, I'm like, what are we? He said, ma'am, we're a luxury fashion brand promoting Indian textiles. And we are not a fashion brand. We are a textile engineering brand. We create state-of-the-art textiles. So make it so seeped into everyone, sort of like your team members and your team members' minds. Or even when they're like literally sleeping, and you ask them like, "Hey, can I do this decision?" They'll be like, "No, Palak." Like literally, Watson, one of your juniors is heading marketing for me,
Right.
and literally I ask her all the time, and I'm like, "Listen, can I do this for my thing?" And she'll be like, "Palak, no." And I'm like, "But I really want to." She said, "Palak, it doesn't fit in with our brand." So I feel like you create a team of advisors that even when you're sort of like shaking and going from one place to the other, that this team will save you and be like, focus on the goal, like really.
Because that anchor or that North Star, like we say, is always positioned and sort of directs you in your own manner.
Make everyone your anchor, make everyone your anchor. And of course, you have to be the anchor when, when they sort of also start to sway. Right. Because everyone sways, everyone gets sort of like, a little dilly-dallying into like, oh my God, that seems like a very nice opportunity.
Palak, it has been beautiful, a description and a journey today. And I really would like to thank you from the whole design village to be here. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to learn genuinely how a brand actually translates to how it is seen today on the whole globe. And we would like to grow along your successes and your victories. And we wish you many more milestones to come. And thank you for being here as part of the Bio Passion.
Thank you very, very much. I wish your students and everyone else success too.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. So, Palak,
thank you very much.
The 8th edition of By Fashion Matters would be on 25th. So we have someone who will talk about a designer again who belongs to Delhi, and he will talk about the journey of his love with Delhi. I'm sure like it will be a great experience, and it would be great if you are here as part of it again as a group. So thank you, Palak, and thank you all of you all. Just all of you stay safe, and yeah, thank you. See you all soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Palak.
Bye.